Hi, so this week we just want to write a couple blog posts and make a couple videos on certain aspects that we really value and what we chose, and just to clarify it for our readers. So today I want to talk a bit about why we chose to print locally. So in our search for printers, we found a couple good printers in the Montreal and Quebec region. They're all very good, and they're all very willing to work with us and help us in this process. We found a really good one that's pretty close to us, and they would be able to give us a lot of mock-ups, a lot of proofs, and we would be able to really go there and check things out. So a big reason for choosing to print locally is just that it's more hands-on for us. We can actually go see them. We have face-to-face contact with them. But we realized in choosing to print locally that it comes at a greater expense to our readers. So there had to be a bigger reason for us to choose to print locally instead of offshoring the printing production than just, it's easier for us, because the expense does come out of the readers. And we went back and forth on this, and we have two main reasons I think we want to share with you why we did choose to print locally and not offshore. So one of the biggest reasons is to support our local economy instead of offshoring. So it's debated whether offshoring is a help or it hurts the economy in the US and in Canada. There are some sides for both, but most studies really show that in some way it does hurt the economy, but there's really no doubt that doing things locally on a local level really helps the local economy. So small business really help the local economy thrive, and big businesses really depend on small businesses to outsource them in certain ways. So just like we're a small little business, I guess, and we're going to be outsourcing our printing production to a bigger company because we clearly don't have the resources to just create our own printing press. So it's just going to help the whole Montreal, Quebec, and then maybe even a little bit the Canadian economy. Our second biggest thing, which is probably the most important, is that we want fair pricing and fair pay. So by printing locally, we know that the people who are working on our orders are going to be paid fairly. We have certain laws in Canada for this, but if we were to offshore, even if it's considered fair pay, it's often fair pay under their governmental rules, which are clearly not the same as ours. We don't want to contribute to more cheap labor, more child labor. I mean, most people don't want to contribute to that, right? So we just don't want to be a part of that. But because we don't want to be a part of that, we have to change our mindset in what the fair price on things are. So a good example of that nowadays is food. A lot of people know that they don't want to buy industrialized food anymore. They are going more to local farmers markets, helping those people out, and it's very clear that it costs more, but you're consuming things more ethically. And the same thing goes for clothing, books, any other items, and that would be the same for this publication, that the price of our publication may seem a bit shocking to people, but the reason it's shocking is because we're so accustomed to buying things for a cheap amount. And the reason it's cheap is because of offshore practices, and of course ads, and we'll talk a bit more about ads in the next couple of days, but offshoring really reduced a lot of the price, which is good for the consumer because it has made things affordable, but clearly there are a lot worse things that happen because of it. So those are two main reasons, and fair price. Our main goal in all of this in our publication is that to have artists be paid fairly, and even in that, it's a readjustment in our thinking of what art is worth, what the value is, and it comes to with what the value is of us designing this magazine and us printing this magazine locally. That all comes to play, and we always want to keep the magazine as affordable as possible. And I guess we want to underline that if you, the reader, pre-orders, initially you're helping in keeping it affordable, because the more people pre-order, the more we can just have a better deal with our printer and they can reduce the cost because they'll have a bigger order. So yeah, I guess if you want an in-depth description, I wrote a lot in the blog post. I even linked some articles that are pretty interesting. And if you want a summary on outsourcing and offshoring, I know Wikipedia is not an academic source, but they have some sources at the bottom, and it's just a good summary of what all this is about and what we don't want to support. So you can just type in Wikipedia outsourcing. And yeah, I hope you guys read the blog post. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And thanks again.